welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. Delighted to have a special guest in the studio with me today, former mayor of the city of Phoenix, Arizona, just to the south of us a little bit here. His name is Terry Baker. And how you doing, Mr. Mayor?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Well, we're here to talk about really something that happened to all of us. We're still in recovery mode, but 5 years ago, the Almeda Fire broke out, actually in the city of Ashland, along the greenway, the pathway there, and came down with 40-mile-an-hour winds, 2% humidity, and took your town and devastated it.
Right. The whole area, for sure.
The whole area. Now, it happened a few months before you actually were sworn in, so it happened in September.
Correct.
You were sworn in January the following year, but the town was still in shock mode. And what did you find? I mean, you walked into office to a town that just basically didn't exist.
Right. A town that I grew up in, that didn't, half of it was leveled. People were displaced, broken-hearted, broken-spirited, and gosh, the number one thing I wanted to restore in the beginning was hope.
Yeah.
And inspiration. And it was such an amazing experience. I forged some great friendships out of it.
Yeah.
Obviously, learned a bunch. I'd been a city councilor for 4 years before becoming the mayor, so I sort of knew what I was getting into, but I don't think that anybody would be prepared for something like that, not that level of devastation.
How bad was it? I mean, we heard lots of numbers. What are some of the official numbers?
I was thinking about this last night, and just imagine about half your town gone, several thousand structures, homes. It all adds up, I think, around 4,000, and just in Phoenix, and that's not including what happened at Talent. Talent got hit real hard. Obviously, the south end of Ashland, it was the very south end of Ashland, fortunately.
Right.
And, and then up into South Medford, which it wasn't too bad up into there. But, my problem is just as big as anybody else's, and theirs as big as ours,
Sure. I mean, your Talent, and Phoenix. So, all right. So you were obviously wanting to restore hope, but you had a town that was devastated. And I just want to jump ahead for the sake of time.
Sure.
And that is, I've never seen a coalition put together so impacting as the one and you and other civic leaders did. You as the mayor, you brought in the state, you brought in blue and red politicians, you brought in the county, and you brought in the federal government. It was pretty amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think the situation was that it was so bad that, they're saying there's no enemy, there's no atheists in foxholes, right?
Yeah, right.
I think the same goes for there's no enemies when you're all up to your neck in alligators. We're going to help each other out. And I saw people, our town at the time was very politically divided between left and right. We're pretty much 50-50 down the ranks. A lot of energy goes into those divisions sometimes, and in those days it was even worse. Well, after the fire, I had people who didn't really like me much because of my political views before that hugged me in the middle of the street. That was before I was sworn in. That was just after we were allowed to go back into the neighborhoods. We would hug each other and there were tears.
Yeah.
And I felt like the reason it rebuilt so quickly and so well was because people on both sides of the aisle, we threw our politics to the side. In fact, our city council at the time that was sworn in, we have 6 total city councilors. 3 of them were hard left, 3 of them were hard right. Mm-hmm. And I knew that we would never, work anything out, button heads. But we all had a sincere desire to rebuild the town and to rebuild our communities. And we agreed in the beginning to leave our personal politics at the door when we went into city council meetings. Mm-hmm. Don't bring those in. We're going to listen to here. We're not going to get contentious. And in that first year, where the average city council in Phoenix would probably meet on a yearly basis, 24 meetings plus, say, another 5 or 6 for budget meetings, stuff like that, under 30. That first year, we had, I think, 57 meetings, because that's what it took to get the ball rolling as fast as we did. And in essence, there was not one contentious argument. There was never an argument that couldn't be just, raised voice even. We got along to make sure we did what was right for the community. And because we did that, we pulled together, and the same thing was true with, I worked with Jeff Golden and Pam Marsh, and they were great. I have no complaints about, they helped us a lot. And, a lot with our state legislators and our feds, can't can't think of his name.
Well, you have senators. You have Wyden and Merkley.
Yeah, they both came, and Wyden came several times. So
what's interesting to me was A, you all got together. B, you pulled it off. And the other thing was you relaxed some rules to get it done. The bureaucracy of rebuilding anything takes weeks and months. And you guys somehow jumped over all of those crazy bureaucratic fences, and people were rebuilding within a short amount of time.
We had a lot of help from the county on that. And then the things that we relaxed a little bit was if your home was built in 1978, for example, and there had been new code and improvements, let's call them, or changes. Some of those we were able to let them build to the level of the code enforcement of the time it was built originally. And so, like some things you can't do that with, like the hurricane clips, stuff like that. But if we could, we did. And we did everything we could to promote getting it done. I got with our city manager, Eric Swanson. Him and I forged a relationship, a friendship that we'll carry for the rest of our lives. And we decided, my first day after I was sworn in, we went in his office, we closed the door. What do we do? How do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? And the first thing, I was real enthusiastic, and he was supportive of this too. Let's bring them home. Let's bring our people home. They're displaced. They're living in trailer parks, not trailer parks, but like they're living. They're not home. They're displaced. Let's bring them home. So let's do everything we can. We got Dave Dotterer was our county commissioner at the time, and the county beefed up with 2 or 3 additional planners, beefed up to process our permitting process, because it's complicated. It's not just like you get a permit to build a house. There's a bunch of permits to build a house, and so you turn in your permit, they send it back, it goes back 2 or 3 times to our planning commission, it goes back and forth. So they really beefed up. We had a lot of support from the other communities too. I got to say, we had food and shelter and like blankets and stuff from all the surrounding communities too. I was reminded what a great community that we live in. Southern Oregon is just such a giving area. It really is.
It's one of the most benefactoring communities I've ever seen. All right, so you have this coalition. It worked. The town. The other thing was the cleanup. Once you got the okay to do the demo and do the cleanup, it was amazing how fast that went.
It really was. We had there were big outfits that came in with just tons and tons of these big trucks.
Yeah.
And not only that, they had to dig down it. There was toxic soil, where you're going to build. And so they had to dig down like 16 inches and haul that away and then replace it with new soil that was clean. And it was amazing. They had to cover it because it was toxic. They had to cover those trailers full of their, they were hauling out probably 20, 30 yards at a time, depending what size of truck they had. They had to cover that stuff so it didn't blow out. And they had to be and they're breathing it themselves if they don't be careful. It was just amazing. The cleanup, I was told when this first happened, before I was sworn in, that it would be probably 3 to 4 years before we saw the first house seeing any progress.
Yeah.
By the time I left last year, January, we had rebuilt the town 100%. 100%. Well, as 100% as you can get. There was like 3 or 4% that you're never going to find. Some of the owners you just couldn't find, But as far as
the floodplain issue.
We had floodplain issue. Oh yeah, that was for the old Bear Lake Estate. Now it's Oak Ridge. We had there was a lot of things that simply had there. Where we tried to make it easier for some people to rebuild. Some people it's just harder. There was no choice.
Okay, so today you drive through the city, you don't see any remnants of what happened. You've got apartments everywhere. You got homes everywhere. You got new mobile home and modular home parks everywhere. And you have done an amazing job of attracting new businesses. Praise
God. Praise God. To begin, we had some great businesses that were there before come back, like Garrison's. They came back and rebuilt. And then we had, Blackbird built a store out in Phoenix, hugely popular. We have the Foodery, which was already in motion before the fire, but now it's there, and it's just rocking. People are just loving it. And so that's something else we tried to do is be real business friendly. And it's not always easy because we have so much regulation that we have to adhere to and things like that. But so getting back to the things, like once we had, we were about 2 to 3 years into it when the housing was pretty much back. We were at about 70%, I think.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, now we brought the people home. Our second thing was, let's bring the businesses back.
All right, so you did that. You got a new civic center. You got a new fire station, city hall. All of that has been replaced. What do you think the city learned from this experience?
Oh, man. I think they learned the value of their community. And I'm hoping that they learn the value of their community members they don't disagree with. I learned the value of the community members I don't necessarily agree with. I think that we learned about, it's kind of a double-edged sword too. It's like, well, we encouraged people when they rebuilt their homes, for example, to use fireproof landscapes like, like rocks and, whatever it is with less burnable vegetation. But now, we're hearing that maybe we need to worry more about the bee population, and that if all you have is rock landscapes, you don't have enough trees and so forth, you're going to diminish that. So it's a really fine balance. I think, I think the biggest thing I learned from this is the power of teamwork. And one last thought on that.
Yeah.
I also learned powerfully, you can't outgive God. You can't, because I looked at this as a personal ministry. It took a lot of sacrifice. But he blessed me far beyond anything I gave, and I give all glory to Jesus.
Amen. One other quick question. As devastating as the fire was, and the results being what it is, it seems to me something you don't see above the surface, you know about it below the surface, but the infrastructure of that town has been rebuilt.
Yeah.
Nobody sees that when they're driving through there.
No, you don't see that.
But the infrastructure of that city is now in place for decades to come.
Right. And I know we're on time span. Yeah. The uniqueness of the devastation of the fire also opened opportunities. For example, the public safety building with the city, the city hall, the fire department, the police department, all in one building. We needed those before I ever came around. And but we wound up doing it for, mainly on grants, and I mean, all but $1 million was on grants, and the rest we could just absorb, over the years. And it was like the Blue Heron Park, burned to the ground, but we replaced it with an all-inclusive park it's got, children with handicaps, things like that. They can go there and there's something for them to do that's fun. There's so much that has happened good out of this. I would never wish upon it would happen, ever, ever, ever. However, since it did happen, the Lord also opened opportunities. We've got water service now going down to the Charlotte Water District. We've annexed down into there. We've annexed out PH5, which means we basically increased our city limits by a little over 50%. We're bigger now. We've got more, and that was made possible because when we rebuilt some of the homes in the city limits, we were able to increase our population density. That made it possible for us to expand our urban growth boundary.
Well, it created more tax revenue, but.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I just want to say it's hard for us to look back and see those pictures. I don't know, maybe show those again real quick, Scott, but it's hard for us to forget this.
Oh.
When I saw the DC-10 flying 300 feet over the city of Phoenix, my heart stopped.
Right.
When you drove through there after the fire, you couldn't take it in. It looked like a war zone. It was, and people, I know a lot of people that flat were wiped out. They got out with the clothes on their back.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And that's all there was. And quite an experience. Let us not forget. I just want to say to you, Terry, and the team that you guys put together through this, there's so much to learn here that why can't we do this all the time? Why can't we collaborate all the time? Why are these agencies and politicians, why can't we put others first? We're public servants, we're not personal servants.
Maybe that should be the biggest thing I should say we learned from it, or at least that I learned, is that the reason we got so much done so quickly is because people on both sides of the aisle wanted the same result. Right. And when you work together, if everybody's rowing their boat in the same direction, you can go miles and miles. You won't go in circles. And that's what happened. We went miles and miles. Yeah.
The late President Reagan would say, if you're going to switch horses in the middle of the stream, make sure you get on the one going in the same direction.
Good advice.
Well, thank you, and best to you and your community down there. And I would hope you don't give up public service. God obviously put you there at that time to bring about the leadership that was needed, and the results is pretty obvious. So,
no, I'll be serving somewhere.
Okay, God bless you. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back.